Alright, so let's talk about parasites against Gaia's wrath. I think this is one very fascinating matchup. Actually, with the parasites in particular, neo-humans themselves thought it was really exciting when they saw a titan that was infested by parasites. They thought that it's like an awesome new toy for them to play with. And one thing I was actually wrong about when it comes to neo-humans is that apparently they might not even be like genetically modified humans. Like 10 years ago, that was a whole thing that in the future people are gonna have designer babies, people are gonna like genetically engineer their genes and the genes of their babies. But like these days you don't really hear that much about this. But apparently, based on what I read recently, is that the neo-humans might just have randomly evolved to this much more superior version of humans. It seems like maybe it's a bit of a futuristic world, so this could have taken like a million years in our future. Some people might just start to evolve and be like better in every way. It might have been that kind of thing. I think they call them like mutants. So a little more similar to like the X-Men and all those guys. Except obviously the neo-humans don't have like supernatural abilities. Like maybe they have psychic powers, but they don't have like some fire or ice energy projection from their hands or some crazy X-Men powers. At least so far we haven't seen that. But yeah, they call them like mutants. So I don't know if that means that they deliberately, genetically evolved themselves, or if it just happened naturally. So that's one thing I'm not quite sure when it comes to neo-humans. And it has a lot of implications. If they did it on purpose themselves, genetically modify their own genes, they could kind of like do anything to them, you know, they could make themselves like 10 times smarter than regular humans, instead of just like 2 or 3 times smarter than regular people, if it happened naturally. We don't really know the limits of organic matter, so who knows how far they could really take it. But at least when it comes to intelligence, they could push that one really far. But I say all of this because the neo-humans obviously, they think they can take the parasites and play with them. They're not worried about the parasites at all, even though the neo-humans themselves seem like they're made of organic matter. I think the more likely thing is they're so smart that they'll be able to use the parasites as a biological weapon. They'll for sure be able to harness its power and control it. I have no idea how strong the parasites could possibly be, because like the kaiju, which is also another thing I might have been wrong about. Apparently there's only one of them. And if there's one kaiju, I think that completely changes its matchup against the titans. Because then the kaiju is gonna be way more powerful as a natural enemy if there's only one of them, compared to the titans where you have like, presumably I would say there's thousands of millions of them, where they have this one leader who's stronger than the rest by far, but it's still not as crazy as there being only one. So yeah, I would actually say the kaiju is going to be a lot more powerful than I expected. So, as for the parasites, like, is it just a regular parasite that is just very good at what it does and it kills, obviously? Usually that's actually not a very successful parasite, one that kills the host pretty quickly. However, the parasites here, we've seen that sometimes they make the people zombies. I think I was rereading chapter 3, I think, or 4, not quite sure. But they go into some city and they find like human zombies, and they were infected by the parasites. So I guess one natural enemy is like potentially kind of like zombies, people who could become zombies and infect other people. But I don't really know, like what could the parasite really be that the neo-humans wouldn't be able to handle, or even any other smart natural enemy. The demons, I feel like the demons might have like some magical resistance, but maybe the parasite could get the demons, I'm not sure. But the titans for sure are going to fall prey to the parasite, we've already kind of seen it. Gimpak, I think he's going to be too strong, his skin is going to be too tough for the parasites to penetrate. But like for most of the other demons, it's gonna be a real problem. Actually, even the demons will easily conquer the parasites because the demons have way more powerful magic than the humans. Even though maybe you could argue that the humans' magic is a little more complex, it's not just like brute force. They become scholars and they study magic, all different kinds of nuances of magic, even though it's just not as powerful as the demons' magic. So who knows if the demons could make like some super complex magic cubes to store the parasites. But to be fair though, I'm sure the demons will probably have some other hacks they could use on the parasites. It's not going to really be a problem for the AI since it's a machine. And the same for the aliens, they're way too smart, way too strong. And they also seem like they're not made of the same organic matter like some of these other natural enemies. But there's a lot of other natural enemies we don't know much about. The one that was kind of teased, that was seen in the background, is the parasites against Gaia's wrath. Both of these with the Gaia's wrath I think are really fascinating. I think in fiction Gaia usually means Earth, obviously. Kinda like Terra. I'm in the process of rereading the manga. Maybe you guys could enlighten me, but I don't know a lot of details about this Gaia's wrath, like the lore and everything like that. I just know it's this crazy forest that basically everything that lives in that forest is crazy strong and powerful. I don't even know what you could call it. Just like the ultimate version of nature. So that's why I think the World Tree matchup with the Gaia's wrath is really fascinating. The World Tree is like this natural enemy, if I remember correctly. Again, I'm rereading the entire manga. I know it's not long, but like I'm trying to kind of record some reviews from the very beginning, just for those who don't know anything about the series. I'm trying to record from chapter 1 to the current chapter, just covering the entire story so far. So that's why it's taking a little while for me to reread it. Maybe I should just reread it and then do the chapter reviews later, but it's been like a year or two since I first read the earlier chapters, so there's a lot of details I don't remember, and it's like actually really exciting to reread through it. Right now when I'm doing it now, I still have that same excitement, almost like I'm doing it for the first time, which is kind of crazy, because that actually usually happens to me after I haven't seen like a series or a movie for like 5 or more years, and I go back to rewatch it, then I can actually enjoy it like I'm watching it for the first time, just because I've forgot a lot of the small details and stuff like that. But yeah, from what I remember, the World Tree is like this thing that sucks the life essence of all the nature in the world, everything. And it's driving the humans to extinction because they can't get any food or anything, because the World Tree is just taking all of the everything in the world into itself. But even with just that, I think that's super fascinating, because you have that World Tree, and on the other side you have the ultimate version of nature. I don't think we've even seen any of our humans run into the World Tree. I don't know how that's going to be like a really strong, powerful enemy like the kaiju. Is the kaiju just gonna try to tear the tree down? That's just super fascinating to me. The World Tree kind of also reminds me of Elden Ring, a game which I recently played. In that game they also have this huge tree that is like dominating the entire world, although not exactly in the same way, to be fair, but still like a really huge tree that you could see from the other side of a country basically. So yeah, on the one hand you have the World Tree, and on the other hand you have the most ferocious version of nature. So is the Gaia's wrath just going to like eat the World Tree just because it has so many powerful beings in it? Or is the World Tree going to be able to suck all the nutrients out of the Gaia's wrath? I feel like this is actually such a fascinating one, now that I really think about it. And this is like a natural one as well, where the World Tree is just going to start doing its thing in this new world. They're just gonna meet where it tries to like take over the territory of the Gaia's wrath. But I don't know what it is, but I really like the Gaia's wrath. I don't know much about the World Tree, obviously we haven't really seen it in the series so far. But yeah, I'm feeling the Gaia's wrath right now though. As for the parasites against Gaia's wrath, again, I'm not a fan of the parasites, I'm not the biggest fan. Pretty nasty way to go if you get infected by one of them. But Gaia's wrath against the parasite, I feel like it's just gonna come down to the fact that the parasite is gonna be able to affect some animals and some stuff in the Gaia's wrath, and then there'll be other stuff in the Gaia's wrath that is just going to dominate the parasite. Don't ask me what, maybe it's going to be some kind of like crazy plants that can act like a medicine for the parasite. Like if you take that plant, it kills the parasite, or some weird stuff like that. Gaia's wrath has just so much like versatility potential. And obviously we have the game against God, but I guess we'll save that for another video. So you guys let me know what you think about these matchups, particularly the ones we talked about in this video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.